I work as a brand leader at Fedoriv. It is the best creative company on the market, and I develop, create, and promote brands. Due to the nature of our work, we are big strategists. We work on big brands and see the overall strategy, how the brand will develop in the market, how it will appear to the consumer. Very deep essences. But in these essences, there's no getting away without execution. You can't do without execution. You need to implement everything you've come up with well. Otherwise, you'll just be an owl strategist who thought it out well, gathered people, told them they all applauded, and then don't know how to act. Execution competence is a separate world. If you look closely, marketing consists of a huge number of subcategories that require very precise, very detailed competence. And the depth of such competencies is often not available to large companies, not available to large clients, because you need to really understand the specific subtle moments. And for us, as developers of a grand vision, a vast layer of strategy for big brands, we always work with specialists and professionals in niche areas who help implement this strategy. We considered several companies in a row, right? And why did we choose Roman.ua? Because in a good way, they are geeks. Here's an example, a case that we were struggling with, breaking our heads over how to implement it. Thinking about a case for a European client, we were not competent in the internet space of that market, the Western European market, and we did not actually understand how our great strategy would be implemented there. We needed to figure it out on the level of numbers, on the level of details, on the level of narrow niche competencies. And this thoroughness really won us over because the depth of understanding of a specific topic was what we were looking for. We needed to understand very clearly how to do some things we came up with together. Moreover, most things were tested for durability and challenged, and uncomfortable, inconvenient questions were also asked. And in this collision, it happens. This magic occurs when the company is highly specialized, with expertise in context, in targeting, and with a deep understanding of e-commerce. When the agency comes and starts analyzing your philosophical strategy, breaking it down into clusters and understanding how each individual cluster interacts with the consumer, how they will react, how to approach it, and what effect we want to find from this, that's where everything really sparks. That's exactly where everything sparkled. And after several meetings, we realized that we wanted to do it this way, precisely with this company. We determined that we need to conduct a deep audit. We were working on a brand, a European brand, in a market we didn't understand and didn't know. And it was very important for us to figure out the digital environment and all the communication channels the brand is implementing at the moment. We needed to understand what was happening there, whether it was effective, ineffective, what works, what doesn't work. And we called it an audit, a deep audit with an understanding of what we have today, where it all is moving, whether there is a green light or not, it's red. And this product was the main initial one for us, where we were figuring out what we would do next. So it's like laying the cards on the table. And this is the first product we formulated. The next product we envisioned and wanted was directly a strategy, how we would implement what we had in mind. Understanding a deep client analysis, understanding everything about how it works in numbers, dynamics, conclusions, and analytics, we realized that now we need to build such work on the side of the agency, the client, and the consumer so that all these parties spark. And a strategy was needed on how to move the product into the market, how to convey it to the consumer, and how to serve the client while being in their office. Moreover, we really liked that the guys delved into how it would be implemented, gave advice on how to do it just technically, use such a service, look at such channels, and buy such advertising, and participated directly in the working group to implement the whole story. And there's more to come. The in-depth audit became our starting point in understanding where to go next, how to further develop the business, the brand, what advertisements to place, and what content to create, and so on. The second part is the strategy itself. We audited everything, it's all clear, all good, but what to do is unclear. Now we need to develop a specific step-by-step plan on how to move forward, with what creativity, with what content, what values to provide, and what will influence the consumer most effectively, most successfully, and also very importantly, with what budgets. For me, it was very valuable, well, first of all, understanding what is happening. Audit, it's out of this world, everything is cool, everything is great. The second part is understanding how to do it with minimal investment. Why should I overspend? Why should I experiment with the budget myself? When there is experience, when there are cases, when there is an understanding of the market, how much things cost. What is the standard for this cost? For example, how much you will pay for a client in a certain category, in a certain market. There is experience, there is a case, and I was ready to pay 3 times more. But understanding how to promote this and what value to bring, how to optimize everything, I save money. This is very important for me and very important for the client, because in the end, money is in the till in the evening, and ultimately you need to understand how much your client costs. In the end, you must understand how many such clients you need, and you form your budget accordingly, and you have a predictable cash flow for the year, like a businessman. For a businessman, for my client, it is very important to understand this because he needs to see. Here he is running advertising campaigns for 3 months, interacting with users for 3 months. How much will he spend and how much will he earn? These answers should be clear in advance before you delve into it. And for us, that is the greatest value of interacting with an agency. Regarding the cost of services. As a rule, this is not a commodity exchange, consulting not a commodity exchange. You cannot determine some kind of average. You cannot rationally weigh why this is better or worse. And it is very important for you to understand the depth and step-by-step plan of how you will go through the entire product development process. I understood that. And the quoted price was less than the value I was receiving, and that was okay with me. It suited me. There is this lousy statistic. 90% of Ukrainian business is outside digital technologies. This is just an inevitable story for all businesses in Ukraine. I give it a year, that in a year, this pain will be simply gigantic for all businesses in Ukraine. Because let's take a look. Rosetka, Bodo, Concert.ua, and many other brands by Edlers are digital brands. They are brands that sell on the internet. The level of competence in online business is the #1 priority for Ukrainian businesses. If you don't go there, then you're kind of, well, a failure, right? And there will be no future. I think it will take a year, maybe 2 at most, for the entire business world to become enlightened and realize that either it is already in the background and irrelevant, or it is already in the context and needs to understand it deeply. Recommendation: if a company doesn't feel digitally empowered, they should immediately build this competency, use our courses on Super People, many other educational projects. Just improving this skill is not enough. You need to move in this direction. Build a circle of expert contacts with successful interactions who have successful cases. You can either apply this experience or bring in this expert to help you go digital, to work in a digital environment. The owner's level of competence is essential, and nothing enhances it more than working with experts. As soon as an expert comes and says, look, this works like this, and like this. This is what it's made of. It costs this much here, this much there, and this much there. And you already have some kind of picture. You have something to compare with. And when you have experience with 2, 3, or 4 experts from different fields, you get a composite picture. Recommendation #1 for all Ukrainian businesses, whether small, medium, or large, develop digital competence if they have not yet done so. That's the first thing. The second point is for those whose marketing departments and marketing strategies work well. For these people, the difference between entrepreneurs and experts is that entrepreneurs develop horizontally. They try equally to understand finance, sales, and so on, and marketing a little, just a bit, how the system works, who to hire, and how to manage them. And an expert does not develop like that. The expert develops vertically, digging deeper, right? And if a business sells online, then the expertise in which the business should develop, especially in marketing, must constantly dig deeper and understand the context. SEO, Facebook advertising, targeting, and Instagram advertising. In any other means of communication with a person, whether aimed at knowledge growth or conversion, it doesn't matter. Any company that has allowed itself to have a website on the internet must attract such an expert. If you have a website on the internet, even if it's a business card, even if it's something else there, you just have to dig into it and figure it out.